The golden sun stretched across the horizon, painting the sky with a delicate mix of orange and pink. The small town of Cedar Ridge, nestled in the heart of vast mountain ranges, was a peaceful place where nothing out of the ordinary ever happened. That is, until one fateful afternoon when a little boy vanished into the sky, snatched by a mighty eagle in front of horrified witnesses. ##### A day like any other. 6-year-old Ethan Parker was a bundle of energy. With a mop of curly brown hair and an infectious laugh, he was adored by everyone in Cedar Ridge. He loved the outdoors, often accompanying his father Mark on fishing trips or hikes through the forests surrounding their town. On that particular Saturday, Ethan and his parents had planned a family picnic at Whispering Pines, a scenic hilltop known for its breathtaking views and open meadows. Mark and his wife, Sarah, spread out a checkered blanket while Ethan, unable to contain his excitement, ran ahead, chasing butterflies and picking wildflowers. The air was crisp, filled with the sound of chirping birds and the rustling of leaves. It was the perfect day. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. #####. A terrifying moment. A shadow swooped across the meadow, moving with astonishing speed. Before Sarah could even react, a golden eagle, its wingspan nearly 7 feet wide, plunged from the sky and grabbed Ethan in its razor-sharp talons. A collective gasp escaped the small group of people who had gathered for their own picnics nearby. Sarah's scream shattered the tranquil air as she watched her son being carried away, his tiny hands reaching out helplessly. Mark, reacting purely on instinct, took off running, though he knew he could never catch up. The eagle, powerful and majestic, ascended higher, disappearing over the dense treetops. Panic set in. Had the bird mistaken Ethan for prey? What would happen when the eagle realized the boy wasn't food? Was there any chance of survival? #####. The desperate search. Within minutes, the townspeople mobilized. Mark called 911, his hands shaking so badly that he almost dropped his phone. The local search and rescue team, rangers, and even volunteers from nearby towns joined the effort. Drones were deployed, helicopters scanned the sky, and tracking dogs were brought in to follow Ethan's scent. But the search felt hopeless. How could they possibly find a child who had been taken by a bird into the vast wilderness? Days passed and fear turned to despair. Every news channel covered the bizarre incident, but hope was dwindling. Ethan's parents refused to give up, spending sleepless nights scouring the forest, calling his name, praying for a miracle. Then, on the 5th day, that miracle arrived. #####. A mysterious discovery. A young ranger named Daniel was hiking deep within the mountains when he stumbled upon an unexpected sight. In a clearing surrounded by towering trees, was Ethan, alive. He sat on a flat rock, his clothes slightly torn but his face calm. And beside him, perched majestically, was the same golden eagle that had taken him. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The boy wasn't frightened. He wasn't crying. He was stroking the eagle's feathers as if they were old friends. "What happened, buddy?" Daniel asked gently, afraid to startle the boy. Ethan looked up, his eyes shining. "She saved me," he whispered. ####. The astonishing truth. Back at the ranger station, doctors examined Ethan. Miraculously, aside from a few scrapes and bruises, he was perfectly fine. The authorities questioned him, desperate to understand how he had survived for days in the wilderness, alone. But Ethan's story left everyone speechless. He explained that the eagle hadn't taken him to harm him. Instead, it had carried him away from something dangerous, something no one had seen at the time. "The ground started shaking," Ethan said. "Right before she grabbed me. I thought she was going to eat me, but she flew me to a safe place. Then the big rocks fell." Mark and Sarah exchanged shocked glances. Could it be true? To everyone's astonishment, geological experts confirmed that a rockslide had occurred just minutes after Ethan was taken. Had he stayed in the meadow, he would have been buried under tons of falling debris. The eagle had saved his life. #####. More than just a coincidence? The town struggled to understand how an animal, especially a wild predator, could have sensed the impending disaster and acted to protect a human child. Scientists suggested that the eagle might have instinctively reacted to subtle tremors before the rockslide, mistaking them as a threat and removing Ethan from harm's way. But Ethan had a different explanation. "She talked to me," he said simply. The boy described a dreamlike experience in which he and the eagle shared thoughts. He claimed that she had known about the rockslide before it happened and that she had taken him to safety as an act of kindness. "She wasn't a normal bird," Ethan insisted. "She was watching over me." #### The legend of the guardian eagle. As news of Ethan's rescue spread, an elderly Native American man named Chief Elijah visited the Parkers. He had heard the story and believed it was no accident. "There is an ancient legend among my people," he said. "A sacred eagle, a guardian spirit of the mountains, appears only to those in grave danger. It is said that she does not just save lives, she chooses them." The chief went on to explain that such stories had been passed down for centuries. Only a few had encountered the guardian eagle, and those who did were believed to have a special connection to nature. Was Ethan one of them? ####A lasting bond. Though the eagle disappeared back into the wilderness, Ethan never forgot her. As he grew older, he dedicated his life to wildlife conservation, working to protect endangered species and spread awareness about the importance of nature's delicate balance. Every now and then, while hiking through Cedar Ridge, he would look up to the sky, hoping to see a familiar shadow soaring above. And though he never saw her again, he knew she was watching over him, just as she had that day. ###Moral of the story. Sometimes, the things we fear the most can turn out to be our greatest protectors. Nature holds mysteries beyond human understanding.